It is the uncompromisable, utter, uncarved block, unhewn dolmen is the self, the imperial self, stainless, pure, adamantine. To compromise even to even a half degree, it atomizes it. And the universe will not permit that. Because that imperial self is the ocean and the drop. It is pure, you see, and effervescent and clear. Absolutely clear. Locked into Mayat in perfect balance. And my point is that, look, the imperial self is unto itself. It is not interesting in embracing any subpersonalities. It wants to destroy those subpersonalities. It's a mean son of a bitch, the imperial self. It's mad as hell with the lie that surrounds it, both socially, in the Mitwelt and in the Umwelt, all around. You know, it's like the Terminator. It isn't friendly. It's the crooked old croak at the end of the street who'll kick your arse if your ball comes into his garden. That's the real shadow. So the imperial self is a destroyer. It doesn't have mercy. It gives no quarter to anything that is false. How could it? If it gave quarter to that which is false, it ceases to be an imperial self, for God's sake. This is a simple equation. And therefore it is not interesting in negotiating and having peace treaties with alleged subpersonalities. It knows what those subpersonalities are. Fragments, chimeras set up by the false self, by society. It wants to annihilate them, wants to put them up against the wall and blow their brains out. Wants to unleash the wolves to tear it to shreds, so that worms won't even have to chew. The proximity of the true self is the death knell to all falsity. It doesn't sit down with falsity. When the true self appears, right? Towers are struck with lightning, towers topple. What the hell?
Your words can be interpreted in so many ways that they cease to cause comfort or knowledge, but rather confusion.
Because you have the strength of a man, but the will of a little girl.
Is where these feminists and socialists are going. They want world utopia. They want the big melting pot. They want multiculturalism. It's kind of the same thing. They're saying that I am all good, right? I don't see differences, because then you've done the fucking expired to you do. Masculinity is up there somewhere and always will be. But they're not there. They're not there psychologically or emotionally. They're in the semiotic. They're the doomsday weapon running loose. They're disaster areas on legs. But if I can go, no, right? We're the melting pot. Everyone's equal. What's really being said behind that is I have nothing in me to go towards the true masculinity. If the person has nowhere to turn, mentally, and also they may be in a great deal of denial, right? I mean, the real syndromes of the dragon fight is I rage, I hate against this mother, this dragon mother, this terrible mother who's undermined sovereignty, my will, my identity, but I have repressed that anger and hate. Influence of society where terrible mothers are raised by terrible mothers. A very difficult cycle to break. So you don't have the jet fuel. You don't have, like I keep talking about the archive of will. You can't have access to it because she's got herself in there and drained it fucking off like some hideous vampire. Leaving the whole field of psychology to then be abused by the Frankfurt School, by Marcuse, who went, backtrack lads, look what we've got here that everybody else has laid, this is a field that nobody's bothered looking into. Oh my God, do we have the seeds of social chaos here? Because this thing not only takes eating disorders and grotesque forms like that, it also takes the form in a woman's psyche of women often needing punishment, meaning they become sadomasochistic in the dragon fight. And then they have thug love. These women are hanging out with the most loathsome male archetype. For the female, right, her shadow work is defined clearly, right, by her need to return to her terrible mother. Not to become one, right, but to go back to the door of the terrible mother and that syndrome, that world, and unpack its dynamics. It's something that the really masculinized woman, see, we're coming on what the authentic masculine is. This is a woman who's overcome it and dealt with it, won the fight, conquered it, and then entered into the solar world as a proper balanced human being. And that's what I call a heroic, right, or masculinized woman. The real legitimacy that the dragon fight is being won is when it becomes a priority for women, right, and that their physical admiration for males in the solar world is upgraded, right? That's the true masculinization of the female, in which they renounce all of this different pseudo-empowerments, that have been offered by the world of falsity. To stop manipulating, stop abusing sexuality and beauty.
Alvin Boyd's mortification. You're living a psychic death, as millions upon millions of people are. Just take a look around you. Sages such as Blake, and Wilhelm Reich and others knew that they were convinced that this is the road to utter destruction, not just for a single man, but for the whole of society. And Blake personified reason in its malignant form as Horizon, the great god Horizon, whose job it is to stick, glue it all back together again, the fragments of a broken reality. But it doesn't realize that in doing so, in stitching the world together and hammering it together into the shape that the mind has dictated, you've made the world now in your own image. Well, that might not be too good of an idea, but that's what's occurred. And Alan Watts, writing on this very theme, says that our attitude to the world outside us is largely hostile. We are forever conquering nature, space, mountains, deserts, bacteria, and insects, instead of learning to cooperate with them in a harmonious order. One day They don't experience anything. It's only human beings. I'm only interested in my experience of anything. I don't daffodils, and leaves, and wolf, and horse, and oak tree. Sure, they have no experience that I'm worried about. What an impoverishment. Is that right? Does that sound true, that you're surrounded by all this? It's just inanimate. That's just a resource that I exploit and knock into shape. Well, there's your super rational tendency. So let's see how far it's going to get the human race. Because as I said before, in an individual man, that same attitude can be interjected. Aren't you alive? You think only your mind has experience? Your body is a living thing. If you turn that rigidity, that malignancy within, oh my God. Dehumanization, desensitization follows.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
You snotty little bastard.